chat on Yahoo for Prometheus. My co-star Michael Fassbender and I are very excited to answer your questions, so...
Let's get started.
Yes. Dave Z from Australia. Okay, this is a question for me, so just take a moment and relax, okay? How does it feel being in a scary action sci-fi movie exploring the bounds of humanity? And do you like movies that do so? Yeah, I do. I think, I don't want to speak for everybody in the cast, but I think all of us got kind of excited to do something with Ridley in this genre. And I think he is kind of the guy who does this and then some more. And I do like these movies, and
You're rambling. What do we talk about? We said concise, precise answers.
Did we say that? Because I did not hear that.
Scary.
I think that's your alter ego.
Do you like these kind of movies?
To you. Okay, I'm done, Dave Z. That's all you get. All right. Okay, Scott from the UK and
Ireland. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way, everyone.
Michael and Charlize, do you think your movie will encourage us to explore the unknown regardless of the cost? Or will it frighten us into safety and stagnation? Michael, you go first.
I don't understand the question. Regardless of the cost. Yeah, I think the idea is to sort of... What's interesting about this film and the script when I first read it, I don't know how you feel, Charlize.
I didn't read it. I had somebody read it for me.
Well, I just, it's interesting when you have there's a philosophy behind the sort of film in itself, the idea of our beginnings, why are we all here? So, some of the answers that I think, civilization has been struggling to find the answers to for centuries, which is like who created us and what happens to us after we die. So I think that's a pretty interesting premise at the sort of core of this story. And then, of course, there's the action and there's the cost on top of that. So hopefully that didn't stagnate too long, answered some
He's a great actor, horrible interviewer.
Herzog, Franziska from Germany.
Michael, read it.
How did you prepare for your role in general and for playing an android? Well, I don't know. The first thing that came to me when I was thinking about the physicality of the character was Greg Louganis. I don't know why. It just sort of popped into my head. So that was the sort of starting point physically. I always remember him sort of, walking to the edge of the sort of diving board, and I always thought that it was a very sort of neutral position and a very practical position, that if any sort of movement happened within the body, it was there for a reason. So that was kind of the launching pad. And then just sort of, exploring the idea of what would happen if something has been programmed to behave like a human being, and would sort of, human traits start to bleed into that programming. Things like, jealousy, insecurity, vanity, ego. So that was kind of what I was playing with.
Servio C from the UK and...
Ireland.
Charlize, Michael, how is it working with such a talented director as Ridley Scott and the Patriot from Australia? Charlize, Michael, how does Ridley compare to other directors? I used to have this experience quite often when I would work on films. Not quite often, that sounds horrible, but I had a couple of moments in my entire career, which is, I am 480, been quite long, where when I would work with a director who would kind of just, be like kind of lollygagging and just be like, well, I don't know. Either inside my inside voice, or I would share it with a friend, was always like, God damn it, I wish Ridley Scott was here right now. Like, to me, he was my character that could fix everything. Like, he would be the guy that would be like, this is what we're doing. And so I think I've been kind of fantasizing about working with him for a really long time. And how does he compare? He's just, I think of for me, there are maybe a handful of guys of his generation that every actor wants to work with, and he was the one out of those 5 that I've always wanted to work with. And I think he's one of a dying breed, or one of very few who could give you the visual satisfaction and extravaganza the way he does, and at the same time have such has such detail character and character development and storytelling. And I have very, very few directors can do that, I think. I loved working with him. He's just a pro. He's just a 12-year-old pro. He's like a 12-year-old who's been doing it for 100 years.
He's, what's really great is to sort of see something on that level, as Charlize was saying, something, on the scale of Prometheus, and the concept alone being sort of, massive. And so to see him operating within all departments is something to behold. His imagination, his precision in each department, and his passion really was palpable on set and was evident in each department. And you really have to be, a sort of master of a three-ring circus to keep everything, running harmoniously, but also giving the special and individual attention to each and every aspect of the film. So it was just amazing to see that. And as Charlize was saying, his energy levels and just sort of mischief, he's quite a mischievous character and a childish sort of energy. It's infectious to be around.
Basically, you just repeated everything I said.
Yeah, but much more articulate.
Violet from Italia and Sphinx from Germany. Sexy. Michael, Charlize.
Yeah, Sphinx.
You read this.
Okay. Prometheus is a 3D movie, that's right, that looks to have many special effects. Were a lot of them added in digitally, or were the sets elaborately constructed?
I think Ridley has a great quote, and now I'm going to screw it up. It's something like, "I come from the school of do." Is that it? So it's incredible how much of it was built, and I think he does it because I think he realizes how effective it is, and there is an essence lost, I think, when you just kind of rely entirely on CG. And there's an artistry that's missing from it. I mean, there's the set design on this film is so important to telling the story that, and it helps you as an actor so much. And I think there was a moment where I realized how important it was for him to really have all of that and have it be tangible. And that was when I had to do a scene where I was on the spaceship, which was entirely built, and I had to witness something quite emotional through one of the windows, and you would just have these tiny little slivers of green screen through the spaceship, because everything was just there. It was built, every button, every screen, everything was right there for you. And so I just assumed, because that part of the film wasn't shot yet, and I mean, I just thought, that's what we do sometimes. You have to use your imagination. And, an actor is you should be able to do that. So I was just kind of ready to, and really said action, and I started kind of acting.
Freaking out.
Or acting. And then he cut, and he said, "No, where's that playback, that CGI playback we created for her?" And he had actually went and spent time to create that scene CG-wise for me, and then played it on the. I was just like, wow. Just a real love, I think, to want to give, as a director, everything that he possibly can in order to tell the best story. But then, of course, then on top of that, he layers it with the most insane special effects.
It's kind of using whatever works, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like at one point you see a bit of fishing string come out.
Yeah.
And, there's a ball attached to the end of it, and then, it's like a little sliver of green screen here, and then the real thing there. It's like, it's a combination of new and old school. And, that's the thing that's really interesting about him. Whatever works, and just because, there's new technology doesn't always mean that it's right for that particular moment. So it's knowing when and what to use at the time.
Jonathan G. from France. Charlie, some people have said that Prometheus is a prequel to Alien. Is it really, or does it tell a completely different story? It's not a prequel to Alien. It's actually a prequel to Thelma and Louise.
Michael, this is a scary action film with an interesting plot. How did Prometheus exceed your expectations?
Me, right?
Yeah, I think.
It was me.
It was you.
It was me.
I sort of found out Charlize was going to be in it, so I did everything I could, call up my agent, threatened people, you name it. Sorry, this is Malene from Brazil. And to answer your question, you know, really didn't know what to expect when I got the script, and you know, sort of there was a lot of security behind the script, so that means that somebody was waiting outside while I read it, and then they took the script away. And the first thing that struck me was the intelligence of the piece. You know, Damon really put to paper a very sort of old school story in terms of like a thriller, the build-up, each of the characters, although they're working collectively for this collective objective, each individual has their own ulterior motive and is coming from their sort of particular reference point. And so something is building up throughout the script, and there's a real sort of thriller sort of quality to it. And that was the first thing that sort of struck me, and it was unusual. You don't really see it so much, especially in action-adventure scripts. Sometimes the plot, the characters can be a little bit thin. And so that was, you know, I was on page 30, and I was like, God, when's this thing going to fall apart? And it didn't. It just got better and better, and the sort of layers to each character were really well thought out. So, you know, from the get-go, I was very excited from what was on the page.
Oh, another from Malene from Brazil. Wow, she gets two. What challenges did you have working on this film, especially during the action scenes? Did you have to prepare physically? I am a fit specimen, don't you think? I don't have to prepare for anything.
Mm-mm.
I thought, because I play somewhat of a suit in this, so I initially, and this is the thing about Ridley, he takes material and he elevates it so much more than what it really is on the page, because I really didn't think I was going to do that much action stuff, so I didn't do anything. And then the end of the film, the whole third act of the film, is the first time that my character kind of goes out into space, and it was like, you know, an eighth of a page that was written for me out in space that turned into like, you know, a week shoot in Iceland of me running and jumping and, you know, with like space gear, and I realized I probably should have trained a little bit and smoked less, but it was too late then, and I was just kind of beasting through it. So I should have. Oh.
Okay. Stigma from Mexico. I hope I've pronounced that right. This is a question for Charlize and myself. After doing this movie, how do you imagine life in outer space? Well, I was actually thinking about this recently, and even like today, of course, you know, when they send astronauts into space, they have to make sure that the personalities are going to be conducive to claustrophobic space for, you know, however many sort of months or years they're going to be away. And that's something that's I really didn't sort of pay much attention to. So it's the idea would scare me, I think, you know, to sort of be so far removed from anything that I know or can sort of, you know, relate to, and then also to be in a confined space. I think it would be pretty scary.
That you can't just escape. It's not like a cabin. Yeah. You'd be like, oh, screw this, I'm going into the scary woods.
God, the rest of these astronauts are doing my head in. I can just, sort of, you know, disappear for a while.
None of that.
Not an option.
Yeah. Shark from Australia, very fitting. Charlize, is this role different from the others that you have played? And Fernanda from Spain. Charlize, what was the inspiration for your character? I think as an actor, you hope that every new character is different. You know, they're all human beings, and I think people can always kind of find some kind of a thread or a correlation, you know, between, you know, if you're playing kind of a villainous character. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have done it if I didn't think it was something that could challenge me, that I didn't feel like I had done before. There was like a quiet thunder with this character that I liked. I've never really kind of played anything like that, and very just so incredibly detached. And yeah, I was interested in kind of exploring that. What was the second part of that question?
I don't know.
I hope I answered.
What was the inspiration for your character?
Oh, what was the inspiration? Well, I think she's kind of my inspiration for anything that I do, but I definitely talked to Ridley about Tilda Swinton's her portrayal of her suit in Michael Clayton.
Oh, yeah.
And there was just this one great moment that that really kind of just destroyed me with that performance, where she's so kind of in control and kind of ruling, you know, her world, and then you find her in a bathroom and she's like profusely sweating, you know, and you realize like there's all this panic underneath her. And I definitely tried to steal some of that in a different way for this character. The idea that nobody is really that, you know, that contained in their ability to be that cold and that distant and that frigid. So, yes.
You said frigid. Okay, Fab from France. This is a question for myself and Charlize. If one day a big spaceship came to Earth full of aliens, what would you really do?
I think it's already
Bring them
happened.
a cup of tea.
Can I just say one day? What do you mean one day? It's happened. I think half of the people in this room are freaking aliens.
Okay, Steven from the US and Danny from Argentina. Michael, what was the most exciting moment while you were filming this movie? Working with Charlize Theron, of course. Come on. Yes.
Well.
Conclusion.
Yes, that means that we did a good job. We're going to finish this up.
I think we really did.
Thank you all for your many questions from all around the world and for tuning in. And be sure to watch the brand new Prometheus trailer debuting shortly and check out the film when it arrives in theaters near you, please.
Definitely do.